new premier partner, Snickerdoodle. They're putting 1 million DGen into supporting Farcaster's growth where your voice matters. Take their surveys, earn DGen, and help build the future of this platform. It's simple. Head to Snickerdoodle's Share to Earn channel, find and take the surveys, share them, and claim your rewards. Let's help shape this space together. And welcome Snickerdoodle to the GM Farcaster family. GM Farcaster. It is Monday, September 23rd, and you are here with Nounish Prof and Adrian for 29 minutes-ish of Farcaster news to start your day. And Adrian, you just got back from a little trip, and I did see you cast about it. Would you like to share with the folks what happened? Really glad you're here today.
Yeah, good morning. GM, it's Monday. I sent you a text message on Saturday and said, hey, I'm going to be there Monday, but is it okay if you do all the prep work? Because I had a little accident this weekend. And
what?
My ankle got run over by a car on Saturday. And
how did you not end up with a broken ankle is the part I do not understand. Like,
I don't know.
Nothing's broken. It's just bruised. Like, how does that even happen?
I don't know. I got very lucky, and I will not be taking further questions at this time.
Oh my God, I cannot get logged into Unlonely. So if you're not lonely, hi, because I can't get logged in. So GM, but GM to you all, and I'm really glad you made it, Adrian, because that would have been sad. But I had I was ready to pull a co-host from the bullpen, bring up a relief pitcher. But anyway, glad you're here. Glad you're okay. Glad your ankle didn't break. And also,
yes, I can still sit here and talk.
Was this caused by a cousin? Because cousins are always trouble.
Cousins are trouble. My son asked me, he's like, you're doing GM this morning? I said, I can still talk. I can still speak.
I can still
and it's only 29 minutes.
And I did say, though, like, I did give her the option that I could actually do this if she needed to take it off. But I'm glad you're here.
And is there a hurricane heading towards Florida?
There's always a hurricane heading towards Florida.
Okay, because I saw that and I was like, oh, maybe I might need to be hosting alone this week. I don't know.
It's not that close yet, and we're used to it. I'll let you know if I need to. That would be the time that I will definitely need a fill-in. So get ready if there is, because I won't have power.
Potential co-hosts if you're out there.
Potential co-hosts, and this is the time. So generally speaking, the hurricanes that I have experienced have happened in September. The worst ones, September and October. So this is our prime time for hurricanes. Okay, I got in. GM. All right, let's dive in. I did want to start with this because it was funny. This meme. I'm going to take a break from social media today. After all, why not? Why shouldn't I open Warpcast again? Yeah, this is me every freaking weekend going, no, I'm going to take a break. No, I'm not. But we try. So first off, I want to thank Purple. So thank you, Purple. We're honored that GM Farcaster actually came in second in this round. And wow, like shocked with all the amazing applicants there, 104 total. So that's amazing that we're funded by Purple in this round. So the way that rounds works is it's a percentage based on the number of likes from the designated wallets. So all the Purple members, or those are the likes that counted in this round. And congratulations, Linda, top of the heap, bounty caster, well deserved, and Kristen coming in at a third, which prompted this from our friend Chinmay. There are no women on Farcaster. I didn't know that Linda, Nautrop, and Kristen changed their gender. So in case you didn't know, Farcaster's for girls. Just in case you didn't know, just bringing that one back. So really nice to see, but also congrats to everybody who was funded in this round. And one of the things that I mentioned when I was doing the shout out was that it's beyond the funds. It's the recognition that, hey, we see you, we know you're contributing to this ecosystem, and we appreciate it. So congratulations to everybody who was funded in this round. So yeah, so that was nice to see. And I've got my my purple mug for celebrating today. So thank you, Purple. Available very soon.
Wow. I don't have a
God.
purple mug. That's
I know you don't.
I
I
gotta get
know.
one.
We gotta get you one.
Um,
I swear to God, the shop is like this close again. I ran into one little snag. I'm waiting for verification from Shopify. So that's it. Hopefully today. Moving on, channels. In case you missed it, here's a preview of what's changing with channels. Nothing is changing this week. There will be a bunch of communication to channel owners about the changes beyond just casts. One point of clarification that I saw come up yesterday, membership does not require your channel to have a token. Can you choose to do that? Yes. Are you required? No. Your channel, your rules. So what that means is you'll be able to go through and actually invite people. And I think they said they're building some tools that you can do like invite all these people or invite all those people. So it won't be so manual. Or you can do it by a token. So you could do it by an NFT, a hyper sub. So likely what we'll do is it'll be our hyper sub will be automatically able to cast in our channel. And then we might pick and choose beyond that. So that's kind of the way this is going to work. Or you could use your Moxie fan tokens, which is what Beta Shop is excited about. I may be the person who's most excited for channel memberships. This is from Beta Shop, just to be clear, not me. Here's why. If you're not looking at the screen and you're just hearing this, here's why. I've long argued that the current iteration of channels feels more like topic tags than communities. You choose a topic when casting, and then your cast goes to people interested in that topic. Community is different. Community is a group of people organized around common goals. Layer on chain, and it's common goals plus collective ownership. A big part of our vision is that every channel member is a member owner with skin in the game. When you come to a channel community in a couple weeks, you'll be prompted to buy a membership via fan tokens, which gives you access to the channel, partial ownership of it, and a shared participation in all rewards earned by the channel. This is the way. So this is specifically talking about Moxie here, but he also went on to say, apologies to anyone who thought my cast implied that fan tokens are the only way. It's not. Our team is just moving very fast to adapt to the new model. So
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So
and I realize that's probably why Dan had to put out his cast to clarify that you don't need a token, just because of the way that was worded. It was like, oh, the Moxie protocol is set up very well for channels, but it's not the only way.
Yeah, to be very clear that this is not a Moxie, like it's not designed just for Moxie or something. Like they're not building this for that purpose. This could be used for example, the DGen channel could say you need X number of DGen in your wallet, and then you're automatically a fan. It might be just one DGen, who knows? You know, they could choose any way to set that up. So you'll be able to set up some rules to allow for who can, and it's just for who can cast and reply. Everyone will be able to read everything that's in a channel. So little different the way this is moving. But you know, I'm excited to see how this goes. Another iteration in the experiment, in the science experiment that is Farcaster. Moving on. So this is the other side of the flip side of the coin.
Yeah.
Hey all, this is from JTGI from AutoMod. Hey all, have decided to sunset AutoMod. Channels are changing and AutoMod needs to adapt to work well with the new design. I like the new direction for channels and think it makes the right trade-offs, but it requires major changes and a renewed commitment that don't make sense for me at this point. Real quickly, AutoMod will run until the changes go into effect. All remaining subscription time will be refunded. AutoMod is now open source with APIs to port moderation configurations. I've worked on AutoMod nearly every day for the past 7 months. I'm proud of it and thankful to everyone who gave it a shot. And then there's a few FAQs in there as well. And I do want to point out a couple things that relate. He did put all of his code base is available on GitHub. He did cast this with links and went into a specific thread that goes into each part of it. So, I mean, this is insane and amazing. So, wow. And did want to point this out from Horsefacts. Automod originally used unstable internal APIs. Seeing it work influenced the evolution of channels, and modbots became a first-class part of the spec. You can talk about why it's impossible to create anything, or you can create something that shows what's possible. Respect to JTGI and all who show, don't tell. And I could not agree more. Thought this was a great take. And this from Christopher. Seems like some folks rush to perform the rain dance when they see a developer make time for themselves or chase a different thing. Farcaster will be fine. The problems are straightforward. Podcasting took a decade plus to iterate on RSS feeds, awful UX, and today no one is saying podcasting is dead anymore. Good UX. We need net new content available on Farcaster, better discovery models originating from on-chain identities, contracts to scale to 100x more users. We don't need casino, engagement games, token schemes. So, few interesting takes there, but I think there was a lot of like channels killed the Automod star kind of thing. But I don't get that take from JTGI. I get that take from others seeing that he was moving away. What do you think?
Yeah, I think people see it as, oh, if a dev can't be successful on Farcaster in this one scenario, that means devs cannot be successful on Farcaster, and a lot of and unfortunate. JTGI, and there are comments. I mean, he is JTGI is one of my favorite devs on Farcaster.
Agree.
Love for him. He I'm at a loss for words this morning.
I
I
think the other thing is that you need devs experimenting because it can't all be coming from Merkle because they're not going to have every idea. I don't know, what they're thinking in the background, and I can't speak to that, but I know they're doing a dev day this week. I think it's today or tomorrow.
Thursday and Friday, I think.
Thursday and Friday. Sorry. I saw some people were flying out already, so maybe they were going early.
Yeah. I was sad. I was somewhat sad to read JTGI's cast when I saw it. And
yeah,
I wasn't surprised to see it coming either.
Yeah.
And I believe him, so I have infinite amount of respect for him. And I feel so grateful that he was building in this space. I think Farcaster, I think Automod, even after the code stops running, remains in the Farcaster DNA. Like he had his imprint on Farcaster, and that doesn't go away even if Automod goes away. And I'm really grateful for his contributions.
I mean, and not that Dan needs this push, but I'd hire him if I were you. I'd be trying to snap JTGI up and hire him, but he probably won't go for it. He likes.
Do you know that? I think Jeff Goldberg was trying to create a poly market on whether Merkle hires JTGI by the end of the year. Did you know really? That's like a side meta conversation that people keep having?
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that, but it's obvious, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to go snap him up?
Well, maybe he doesn't want to be hired.
Somebody's going to try and snap him up.
Maybe he doesn't want to be hired.
I think that may be the case, which I understand that. I totally understand that. And I think I'm just glad that I'm hoping that he's still building, whatever he's building, that we get to see it integrated into Farcaster, and I think we will.
But he's proven. All right, one last thing. He's proven he has kind of the technical chops to solo build a product that worked within the like how channels were working, but also the product thinking and the emotional intelligence to build in this space. And so I think his skills and talent are well known, and he'll be okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next. I don't know if you remember, he did that that puzzle, that game with the White Rabbit one with oh my God, Shibuya.
Oh, you're right.
So good. And I was trying to get him to build me one for cast out, so maybe now maybe now I'll have time before the next cast out.
I gotta say, I think I think Farcaster is ready for another cast out, because
I think it's time. think it's
I
time.
think we need something to bring us together.
Yeah. By the way, I need to throw this up here too. GM-Pack is definitely the best way to proliferate FC in the top 3. Aw, thank you. Thank you, Al. Okay, moving on. But JTGI, you know we love you. So that's the bottom line. Moving on, this from Varun. We're launching a new experiment to help users avoid the spam label called spam warnings. So there was a big kerfuffle. I'm going to call it a kerfuffle about a few people getting labeled as spam who really shouldn't have been. So I'm sure it's that they were bugging somebody. You know, it could happen to any of us. Like we could be bugging people, and they could think that we're spam. We get it. So this is a way to be able to flip that around. And I know that some of those folks, after bringing that attention up, were able to get that spam label removed. So good to see. So if you're concerned about this, go check out Varun's cast with details on and an FAQ on spam. So hopefully getting better. Then this from Dan. I often see people on Farcaster say Farcaster isn't sufficiently decentralized. You're free to define what sufficiently decentralized means to you, of course, but how we think about it is laid out in Varun's blog post, Sufficient Decentralization. So we've talked about this a number of times on here. And it's a full-on blog post that you can get into exactly what they see as sufficiently decentralized. Do you want to do a quick summary? Because I know you've read this deeply many times.
And revisit. I think the key word is just a network achieves. I'm doing this, by the way, from memory, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but sufficient decentralization if 2 users can communicate with each other, even if the rest of the network wants to prevent it.
Right.
Which means, think of any social network. You have your profile, you have your user, that a platform cannot make it so that you cannot post a message to the protocol. So you can create a message and put it on the protocol, and another user out there can see it. So 2 people, if they want to communicate, can. That is much, 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 much lower on the bar of what I think people expect when they hear what a decentralized network should be.
Right. And they've never said it's fully decentralized. Like that's never been their claim. They're not, I don't know if it ever will be, but what they're saying is it's sufficiently decentralized. So essentially like better than what we have, right? Making steps in the right direction. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't. So I think that's and the reason this is probably coming up this weekend is with the sunsetting of AutoMod, the feeling of how can any developer be successful, and it's hard to compete with a very well-funded venture-backed company. And I think Dan keeps coming out to say, look, I think there's the question of Warpcast is not decentralized. It's a for-profit company. And protocol, but now there's kind of, well, what about Farcaster, the protocol, and is that decentralized? And really, Merkle is the one controlling. But it's an open invitation for people who want to start contributing. But
you mean it's an opportunity for another client?
No, I'm not. Not opportunity for another client. There's many opportunities for other clients. But if you want to even affect how the protocol works, it doesn't matter if you have great ideas, like you have to actually start proposing them, and you can't come in, and you have to actually start small. So, get involved with FIDs, contribute comments,
jump into a dev
things
call, things like that. See what's what. Yeah, for sure. Lots of opportunity. Okay. Moving on. This from Adrian. Based on data from Connected Wallets, the estimated value of the Farcaster ecosystem is a whopping 18 billion with a B. That's a lot of purchasing power over in this small corner of the internet. Read the full report here. So this is from the Snickerdoodle report. I'm going to show that one second, but I have to shout out this comment from King. We should buy Keckers a Lambo. We went too small. This is referring to the 118-page report, The State of Farcaster for Snickerdoodle. For this study, this is from Snickerdoodle, surveyed 6,000 Farcasters, analyzed 38,000 connected wallets, indexed 140,000 answers to surveys. Catch the highlights. What's your favorite insight? So we'd love to see what you guys think. And I'm thinking we should run a little round and have people pull out their favorite stat or their favorite quote and post it. So more on that later. I just thought of that this morning, so I didn't have time to actually fully flesh out that thought. But I think that could be fun to see what people pull out of there that they found interesting and be able to highlight it. So go give that a look. Maybe you'll be rewarded soon. Working on that. So we'll circle back.
Download the report, flip through it. There's so much in it.
So much in it. Like, this is crazy. 18 billion. That's pretty crazy for an ecosystem that's relatively small, our cozy little corner. Pretty amazing. This from Jesse at Base. This was a quick overview of frames, adding frames to base names, how to make your base name your on-chain link tree. It seems small, but this is the start of something big. So you can use your base name to add in all of your other information. And I haven't had a chance to do this yet, but I do need to. But I loved this comment from Jesse. And yes, the base team did intentionally launch frames on base names on a Friday to commemorate the original Frame Friday. Never forget. And I just loved that so much. So for those who weren't here, when frames launched that weekend, got crazy with hackathons and all kinds of really cool stuff. So and of course cookies. Cookies.
Is that box of cookies green by any? Are those Thin Mints?
It's Thin Mints. So
because
it is
your green screen.
Yes,
your green screen once again is making it hard to see. Your
you
green
can't
box.
see the green. Yeah, you can see it. You can see it.
What I think is super cool about the frames for base names is, like, we are very much specifically talking about the same frames on Farcaster. It's not like someone else copying frames and saying, oh, that's a good idea. It is the same concept. So just another example of interoperability and composability of and that's super cool. I got to get mine set up as well.
Me too. I got to get mine set up, and maybe we can talk about it on Wednesday and get ours set up and dive into a little more. Couple more things, and then I want to talk about. Oh, go ahead.
We're not quite at Girl Scout cookie season yet, but
yeah, not quite.
I've heard this. Canadian Thin Mints are far superior to American ones. Did you hear it from someone in Canada?
I may have heard it from someone in Canada. This particular, but I've heard that from a couple people, but I've never tried them. I've never had a taste test, so I can't speak to this. We need one of those, like, like the Pepsi challenge. It'll be like the Canadian
blind taste test of Canadian versus
because I don't know. I have no idea.
American food. Well, just so you know, American Thin Mints are not thinking about Canadian Thin Mints.
We don't think about you at all. Oh, that's funny. I still have, you realize that I have 2 sleeves in my freezer waiting to celebrate the Frames Friday. That's how we will celebrate Frames Friday, is with my frozen Thin Mints that are just waiting. I put them away almost, not quite a year ago, I guess. It feels like it. It's not, but it feels like it. Won't be a year till February. But it does feel like it. Okay, moving on. This from Toady Hawk. This has been very cool. And thank you, Toady, for including me. This week, I started writing a new profile series called VIPs, Very Interesting People of Farcaster. Of course, let me just continue on. The idea was simple. Counter the false narrative that there are no interesting people in Farcaster by having some of the best and brightest on this app in a daily paragraph, mintable on base. On days 1 to 5, I featured Chris Corella, Jan Furla, Burberry, Mike Damaris, and Nounish Prof. And you can find them all at paragraph.xyz/@ToadyHawk or in the Farcaster -VIPs channel. So this was really fun. I appreciate Toady featuring me, and he did decide he was going to shift it to 3 times a week because he's learned, like us, 5 times a week is just a lot. So he is now switching it to 3 times a week. What I would say is, if you have a suggestion for him of somebody who should be featured, go pop it on one of these casts and the replies and give him some ideas. I've thrown a couple at him as well. What were you going to say?
And write your own.
And write your own. Yeah.
I forget what I was going to say.
I thought this was a great idea. Like, I appreciated the
Oh,
initiative. It's a really good idea.
It's so cool. And Toady, just like many of us, like you go from like, oh, writing is easy. I'll just spit these
Yeah.
out. And then as soon as someone starts reading it, you're like, oh, someone's reading it now. And then you have to start thinking and editing. And
Yeah. He's like, this is taking a lot more work than I anticipated. I was just gonna, because he's putting a lot of effort into it, and he's actually interviewing everybody too.
Yeah. I was really, really happy to see this. I was so happy to see you on it. I haven't read it yet, and it's in my, so I have to read. But,
I get it. My reading list is big.
I was in the ER this weekend. I was busy.
I know you were busy. I do think they're really well written. He's done a great job pulling together the info. So go check it out. This from Matcha. We've secured special Ethereum film offer for Matcha users. If you've traded on Matcha in the last 6 months, enjoy a 10% discount on the stream. Thanks for swapping with us and enjoy the film. So the Ethereum film, Vitalik and Ethereum story, is now streaming, but you do need an NFT to be able to view it. So you can get a discount if you've swapped on Matcha, which is very cool. So nice little benefit.
Yeah.
Permissionless
discounts.
Permissionless discounts. Okay, this was really, really cool. This is from Naomi Afrochicks, who is going to be with us on Friday. And this was really neat. Okay, I'm mind blown. AskGina.eth has somehow scanned all of the books from my photo of my mom's shelf and then give recommendations based on them. Side Shankar and y'all are cooking. Okay, sorry, did not get that one. So she had posted this picture of her bookshelf, and then the AI went through and gave like a list of like what they were on the shelf and gave some recommendations based on that, just by saying asking the question, ask Gina any good books you like personally from the shelf. Which was really interesting. But it also went through, ask Gina what are recurring categories or themes from these, just based on the photo. So that was pretty impressive, I think. By the way, if you didn't know, Ask Gina is like running on Farcaster. So think of it like Grok, but for Farcaster. So go ask Gina some questions. It was pretty cool. Was that? I was like, wow, I wouldn't have even thought to do that. That was a really good idea.
And it's like that reminder, like you're probably not using AI enough.
Yeah. And totally. Yeah, because this was very, very cool. Like it even gave you suggestions for other questions to ask it. So very, very cool. Go check that out. This from Thomas on Farcaster. Now we're moving into the last part here. This was a nice shout out to Farcaster by Vitalik at ETH Singapore. So he gave a little shout out. And also in Singapore was the Network State Conference. And Ted was dropping gems on FarCon at NS Conference. This is from Carlos, with a shout out to GM Farcaster and Nanish Prof, which was really cool to see. So this was very nice of her. But also she did a great job, and we're going to show this in just a second. And this was from Phil, for anyone who missed it. Ted spoke IRL at the Network State Conference about building IRL community on Farcaster. Couldn't have asked for a better representative. Can't agree more. I love this. Hi, I'm Ted. Hi, I'm Ted on Farcaster. That's the way she started. I love that. And what we're going to do is shift and actually show her talk and Dan's from the Network State Conference. So I'm going to do Dan's first and then hers, and then we'll just do a quick little commentary on that. Want to show one more thing before we jump into that, and that is your background. Zach Lip, Purple Haze background. It is amazing, beautiful, great photography. So thank you, Zach, for that. Before I shift gears, anything else you wanted to talk about before I pull up these two talks?
No, but a lot happened this weekend and a lot going on the timeline. And we have FOMO for not being in Singapore. And
I have
that's it.
FOMO about
No.
some things. We're not going to talk about that other thing because I just don't have the energy. But there's a thing. There's a thing that happened, and it's been all the talk of Twitter, and just a smidge of a talk
Oh,
on Farcaster, and we'll talk about that later. But I just can't. But most of the
do we
things,
have to?
no, we don't. We really don't. But in terms of like, there was a lot of FOMO of the cool things that were happening. The Network State Conference, by the way, it was a little bit of a slow start, but once they got cooking, it was very good. I've watched most of it and highly recommend. Farcon Asia looked great. The Token 2049 looked amazing. The matcha board, I just want to play Plinko. I thought it was really cool. So good job, matcha. Got my attention. Yeah, so I definitely had some FOMO for sure. But there was a lot of really good talks in the afternoon at the Network State Conference, and they were not all specifically like network state related. They were kind of all over the place. Like Brian Johnson, who's the Blueprint Health guy, the crazy health guy.
Don't
The
die.
don't die. Yeah, don't die guy. He was very interesting. Like, seems a lot less crazy.
Mm.
And he normally appears on Twitter. So. Yes.
I don't think he appears crazy on Twitter. People take what he says and make. I mean, listen, you can choose
Yeah.
to believe in
Yeah.
his philosophy or not, a free country and all that.
Yeah.
But typically, it's like the comments around things that
Yeah.
you hear and you don't. So
Yeah.
if you actually listen to people,
he was very,
talking.
very interesting. I mean, so he was but there was a few others that were like really super interesting, sharing different perspectives on finance and social and, health and all kinds of things. So definitely recommend giving that a look, but it is like 10 hours worth of content. So some fast forwarding might be in order. So we're going to just show you 15 minutes of that 10 hours of content. So I'm going to start with Dan, and his is very short, and then we'll chat a little about that, and then we'll get into some of the other stuff. All right, here goes. Oh, I'm going to take us off the screen because we don't need to be on here with him. Hold on. Always fun when you're streaming to streaming to streaming.
Yeah. Not that it's a competition, but Ted's was better than Dan's. No volume.
No volume?
Mm-mm.
All right, hold on.
Oh, not loud enough.
Not loud enough. Okay.
Permissionless, so people can use ETH and like find whatever you want. But our opinionated, like make it as simple and easy and comfortable to bring in your social media is we just do Farcast does everything in USDC. We actually started creating rewards. We're paying off our own balance sheet, very small experiment to start just to kind of see if it can increase content. We stream $5 in USDC to the top 100 people per day, and they get a reward, and they get like a little badge, and people go nuts for it. And what's amazing is that amount of setup, if we had to use Stripe Connect even, would have been like, whatever amount of time. We just like are able, like, well, everyone has by definition, everyone has an Ethereum address. Permissionlessly done. Like we just able to just like give people money in there.
Can the volume go up at all on your end?
No, I got it up as hard as I
can. Is Ted's talk louder?
We'll
I don't
see.
think any of this is. I don't think it's audible.
Let me lay it play out because it might be better on the recording.
In a way, it really hasn't been before. Yeah, I think that frame is actually really useful in that it's like one, you can be sovereign at the client level, so within the system. You can be sovereign within the data and global state level. Like, you don't have to trust anybody else. But anything that happens on the protocol, like, we get immediate feedback. Like, it'd be the equivalent of like the Facebook growth team having to like answer to their users all the time, like who are obsessively watching like everything that you do. So it's actually a completely different way of building a startup. I mean, you've been talking about this stuff forever, right? Like your whole like, hey, like the ledger of record and like whatever, but just like still subscale. But it's like pretty crazy that because the actual system is open, like you delivered on that part, just that, like you get all this like crazy emergent behavior from it.
And that's it. So sorry if you could not hear that. I have it up as loud as it goes from YouTube. And I will say that the recorded pieces for the conference were a little, the audio sync was off and it might have been a little lower. So I'm hoping that Ted's is louder. So we'll try. But I went up as loud as I could on all my things, all the things. So hopefully you could hear that. I thought it was interesting at the end talking about the immediate feedback you get on Farcaster, that you do get it immediately in terms of what's working, what's not, all of that. So I did think that was interesting, but it was super short. I want to hear the whole conversation. I'm hoping that he recorded the whole thing and that he'll release that separately, maybe as part of his podcast. I don't know. But I did think it was way too short. Like there was, I had more questions than answers.
Yeah, because he only really got to talk about two things. So he kind of talked about why they're kind of going all in on USDC and the Castor rewards and that experiment. And then he talked about, what did you do? What was the second?
It just talked about like the emergent behavior, like
right, and the protocol feedback.
Yeah, and the protocol feedback. Yeah. So it was really like very, very quick. Ted's is much more in depth. I'm hoping because it was live streamed that the volume will be better. So let's give this a try. But if you guys aren't hearing it at all, then maybe we'll just cut it and leave it. And all of these links will be in our show notes, and they'll start where they begin. So it'll bring you right to it, so you don't have to try and find it. All right, so let's give this one a shot and see if we can get this to play louder, hopefully. And because this one was pretty good. That's the wrong one. I really loved Ted's talk. I think she did great. It was an actual TED talk. Here we go.
Now, please welcome to the stage the final speaker before the coffee break, Ted from Farcon. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. This is the last session before your coffee break, and I know we're over time. So if everyone wants to give a quick whoop and a little clap to get energy back in the room. Nice. Sweet. I am here today to talk to you about Farcon, a community-driven initiative to convene, connect, and celebrate the Farcaster community. How many of you have heard of Farcaster before, by raise of hands? Nice. Great. You'll hear from the Farcaster co-founder later today about Farcaster as parallel media, but today I'm going to talk to you about Farcaster as a place for parallel community, parallel society. So, it's a little bit different. I think every other speaker who's come up here has been the founder of whatever project they're sharing. I am neither the founder of Farcon nor Farcaster. In fact, I don't even work for them. I am simply a power user, what one may call an accidental Farcaster influencer, and hopefully a story to inspire some of the people out here today in the audience to become a community builder on your own. Before I worked in crypto, I did kind of developing strategies, executing strategies for brands, celebrities, startups, and family offices, all of whom had major social followings. And so as a result, we would often work directly with Twitter or Instagram or Facebook for new features and go-to-market strategies. I worked with these platforms as they evolved from social networks, primarily designed for connection, as they turned into social media, primarily designed for broadcast and distribution. This was phenomenal for all of our clients, except when the APIs were closed or when they decided to delete an account with millions of followers. And so when I learned about Farcaster, I was really excited about the permissionless social graph and the freedom it gave developers to build their own apps. And so when I joined back in 2021, when there was only 100 of us, I couldn't wait to dig into some of the decentralized nature of the protocol. But what I found to be the most interesting aspect of it wasn't any of these features, but actually the culture and the community of the early users. How many of you here have internet friends? I raise a hand. Should be a lot of you from the Network State Conference. I had never had internet friends before, and I was obsessed. I was like, here's a community of people who value authenticity, who are kind of definite optimists, who care about intellectual curiosity, who are truth-seeking and wanted to collaborate together. These are my people. And I needed to spend more time with them, and I wanted to spend time with them in person. So every face you see here started as an internet stranger, quickly became an internet friend, and now dropped the internet, and I consider them just friends. And it turns out I wasn't the only Farcaster user who had this experience. There were two users, Grin and Cameron, who last June decided to host the inaugural Farcon in Boston. The network was relatively small at the time, but they managed to get 50 users who were super excited about Farcaster to fly all the way to Boston for 2 days of connection with the goal of promoting collaboration. And it worked. It did exactly that. If you look at this photo, really tiny, sorry about that, there's two women on the left who had never met before, and then after Farcon, they went on to launch their own on-chain media brand called GM Farcaster. But the initial Farcon was always meant to be decentralized. Grin and Cameron wanted to pass it on to the next members of the community, and so my good friend, Graham McBain, went and asked, can I do the next Farcon? And they graced it to him. He came to me with a vision to bring it to Venice Beach, the home of Farcaster, and coincidentally, my home as well. And when we announced Farcon 2, we had a goal of doubling the number of participants. We wanted 100 people to fly all the way to LA instead of just 50. And we thought it was an ambitious goal. Well, then the network 16x'd right after the announcement, and we received 5,000 applications. And so the question switched from how do we get 100 people to show up to how do we meet the demand of a growing ecosystem while staying true to the culture and the community that made it flourish and grow in the first place. And the answer was pretty simple. It was just to lean into the community and the technology and the infrastructure that was already in place. Here's a quick video. So as you can see, it covered a variety of interest areas. There's art, there's music, there's coffee. Everyone loves good coffee. There were talks, and this was entirely volunteer-driven, so no involvement whatsoever from the Farcaster team. And how exactly did we make this come to life? I'll go through some of the apps and kind of the primitives that we used in order to do it. So because Farcaster is connected to your Ethereum or a Solana address, we were able to use an app like Deforum that would pull on-chain data to say, hey, did this account put down a 20 USDC deposit to come to Farcon? And then with that, because it's an open social graph, we were able to pull and look at all of the applicants to see how long have they been on the network? Are they casting? Are they engaging? Are they working with other people? So that we didn't have to go through each applicant and double check the username back and forth. Also, because all of the data is open, we were able to go and see what are the most popular topics, what are the most popular activities that we could then find the people who were talking about them most so that they could put on the art night or the music night or host the surf session outside. From there, once you got accepted, that address could then mint an NFT. And once you had the NFT, you could then join a token-gated group chat. And if you didn't end up going to Farcon, you could still follow along with all the updates by looking at all the information in the channels. All of that can be done within the Farcaster ecosystem. In fact, some of these things you don't even have to leave the app itself or one of the apps itself, Farcast, to do that. From there, we wanted to say, hey, there are all of these developers building in the ecosystem. ecosystem. And oftentimes, I don't know, did anyone here go to Token 2049 or Solana Breakpoint? Nice. Good tokens. Oftentimes you go to these conferences and they're completely built on Web2 apps or the traditional or incumbent apps that we're using today. And we were like, that is not the future that we want to live in. But oftentimes there is a pretty heavy friction, or there's a lot of friction in order to use these apps. But we were about to have 500 people, the most active people in the Farcaster community, be in Venice. And what better opportunity to at least dog food and get them to be in battle tested apps like never before. And so here are some of the apps that we encouraged everyone to use, and everybody did use. There's kind of a Luma equivalent, so a Farcaster native events app. We have all of the passes are done with Icebreaker, which you can think of as an on-chain LinkedIn. Think of that as a digital business card. There's a Find My Friends app, and then we even had for the inaugural Farcon pickleball tournament, you could bet on-chain on which team you think you would win. All integrated with the Farcaster social graph. And at the end of this Farcon, the energy was electric, and everyone immediately went and said about the next Farcon, which actually just happened this week in Singapore. So kudos to the team that put that on. Everyone was asking, what about the next one? What about the next one? And the question that I was actually asking myself wasn't, what about the next Farcon? It's, what happens in the meantime? What happens between these tentpole events that so many of us put on? How do we stay connected? How do we continue building this community? And so what I decided to do was experiment. And I launched an initiative called Summer at Club TED. Club TED is a kind of play on Club Med. I might be dating myself and anybody in the audience here. And it's an on-chain membership club. Think of it as a social club that I started in order to play around with each other. And pretty much was like going to support anybody in the Farcaster ecosystem who wanted to do the same. And it completely took off. Here you can see photos, so Club TED meetups. Then you can also see that other communities decided to jump in as well. So we have a tabletop community, so people who meet up together online and in person to play board games together. And then what we learned from this is that people want a reason to get together and they want consistency. And so we recently launched Farcaster Fridays, which is the first Friday of every month. Farcasters around the world get together in their local city to hang out and to meet up together. And another key takeaway I learned is that as the Farcaster network grows, people want to meet up less about Farcaster and more about their sub-communities. And you might think, well, isn't that bad for the network? And the answer is actually like, no, that's great. That's actually what Farcaster is perfectly designed to do. And what I mean by that is that you have one social graph. And so you're able to log in with your Farcaster account. So sign in with, if you're familiar with sign in with Facebook, you're able to log in. And so whether you do an events app like Carnival or Luma, whether you want to follow your favorite creator through a Patreon equivalent, whether you're into fitness, running, and use Strava, you are able to sign into your Farcaster account and bring your social graph and your following with you and be able to connect with people that way. It is a completely permissionless and portable social graph, regardless of what social graph, regardless of what app you're using, or regardless of whatever your sub-interests may be. And why this is exciting is because when you pair a permissionless social graph with digital ownership, so whatever is in your Ethereum wallet, whatever is in connected to your Solana address, you have a completely cohesive digital experience. So your digital footprint, your ownership, your social graph, your reputation, your interests, all of that exists in one. And you can travel with that regardless of whatever app you are on. This does not exist with any current social media platforms today. However, in order for this to be the future, we have to be able to scale and compete with some of those incumbents today. So if you would like to join Warpcast, I encourage you to download this app. It's one of the main onboarding apps, but there's tons of other apps. And hopefully I'll see you at a Farcaster Friday or a Farcon in the future. Thank you.
I muted myself just in case it was me.
I played around with that too. I was like,
yeah, that wasn't it. I think there's some kind of setting I got to adjust.
also,
Anyway,
I feel bad for anyone listening to the recording if you had turned up
Yeah.
the volume very, very loud to hear Ted, and then you
Yeah.
just heard us screaming in your ears.
yeah, sorry about that.
Turn it back down.
Yeah, I should have whispered, like, turn your volume down. We're back. Turn your volume down. Anyway, I thought she did a fantastic job. Thank you for the shout outs. Was very unexpected. Love that she showed off so many different of the amazing apps that use social graph and was able to show that how those all connect in and really what the power is of that social graph. So loved it. Great job, Ted. And excited to see where else we can bring this. So yeah.
Yes,
And
the
that's
TED
it.
Talk was phenomenal.
TED Talk.
I wish
TED
I was
Talk
there
and
in
TED.
person, but it's just as
know.
good if you do watch
Yeah.
it. And if you, I love the introduction. It's Ted from Farcon. That
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
It was
she
so good.
just. It's been a few months since Farcon. It was so nice to revisit. And we forgot. Do you remember when they first started? It was this small little event,
Yeah.
and then Farcaster took off. They had to make it big, and everything was done through these Legos permissionlessly. Using everything was crypto native, and Farc.
Yep.
It was really special. So I was glad to see her on stage getting to brag about it.
Yeah. They were just hoping they could get 100. 100 people to come out, and then they had 5,000 apply. It was crazy. So yeah, that was a real thing that happened. So hopefully, I can't wait to see what happens with next year's Farcon. I don't know where the next one's going to be. I shouldn't say next year's, but the next one, because we've already had Farcon Asia, which I definitely had some FOMO about. Great job. We showed all that last week. If you missed it, they did an amazing job, and I'm just excited to see where the next one is. That's a little closer to home that I can actually get to. She did mention Farcaster Fridays, and those will be coming up on October 4th is the next one. So we're going to be doing a URL one again, and we're going to play some poker. So if you love to play poker and you want to be on screen playing some poker with us and chatting, hit me up, and we'll see what we can do. But we also will have a chance to just hang out and hang in the chat and chill with us for Farcaster Friday online. Or you can go try to grab one IRL if there's one near you, or create one near you. It can just be a couple of you. So looking forward to that. So that'll be the next IRL thing that we get to do in a couple weeks. And with that, anything else, Adrienne, that I forgot to mention? Yes.
On the IRL front, next Tuesday, October 1st, we're hosting a little coffee meetup in New York City. So if you are in town, definitely come out for that, and I'll cast a link to RSVP again.
I forgot about that. That's coming up too. Amazing. And that's sponsored by Base and Snickerdoodle and a few other folks. So definitely that's going to be a fun meetup. More FOMO for those of us who are not in New York.
Hopefully I won't be on crutches.
This is next Tuesday is October. Okay.
It is, right? Did I get that right?
It is. No, you're right. Unfortunately, you're right. I know. It feels like it can't be possible, but it is. And the other thing I want to mention, so this week we do have a couple special guests coming up. Wednesday, we have Dina from Boys Club popping by, and we're going to be asking her to give a little critique of Farcaster marketing. We'll see what she would do if she was the benevolent dictator for the day. And on Friday, we have Naomi Afro Chicks going to pop by and talk about, what she's doing in terms of her on-chain, sharing all of her Olympic training that she's doing on-chain, that she's sharing that on-chain and on Farcaster. And I'm excited to chat with her and ask her about Ask Gina. That was crazy. That was crazy. All right. And with that, I know, very exciting week. Very exciting. And we also have, oops, I can't believe it's almost October. Yes. And exciting week. We also have Vibe Check with DeWoofy will be on Wednesday after our show. And it is an interview with Lamb Chop. So very fun week ahead. And with that, we're going to call it. So have a lovely Monday, everybody. and we will see you on the timeline. See you Wednesday. Bye-bye.